Welcome to Coffee Break with Rachel V. Hill, taking a daily look at the biggest stories in Denver sports and interacting live with you, the Coffee Break fam. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of joe, and enjoy your coffee break. Here's your host, Rachel V. Hill.
Happy Wednesday, my friends. I'm really excited. I've been looking forward to the show all week because Andrew Mason, who is live in Las Vegas for the Super Bowl, is going to be joining us here shortly. A lot to get into. Obviously, they had the CBS crew out there. I'm excited to hear what a lot of the analysts have said about, one, the Russell Wilson situation, but two, who's going to be the next quarterback of the Denver Broncos. Also, we have to get into the Raiders hiring former OC for the Bears, Luke Getsy. Could this possibly mean they're going to be sticking with Justin Fields and the number one pick could be up for grabs? Plenty to get into. Welcome into Coffee Break. Grab your coffee, hang out with us for the next couple of minutes. And I'm excited to bring in Andrew Mason live from Radio Row. Let's go. Andrew Mason, I'm so excited. I'm so jealous. I was there last year and now I have a little bit of FOMO.
Yeah, it's we wish you were here too. I mean, it's always popping. It actually, now we're at Wednesday. So it was a little quiet the last couple of days, but it's starting to pop here. You can see some of the activity, but yeah, this is the place to be right now. And I just was chatting with Mark Schlereth, who did the morning show from here, and yeah, there's a buzz building, and definitely there's something different about us through Bowl in Vegas, no doubt.
I want to talk about that actually. What's been the biggest difference that you've noticed thus far being in Las Vegas, the city that never sleeps?
Well, it's interesting because right now it's just kind of media and people really working here, the game that are here. So it hasn't really kind of gone to another level just yet.
Okay.
They did throw a heck of a party. The Las Vegas, Tourism Bureau threw a heck of a media party last night. And they used the
Mace.
Yeah.
What did we eat at the media party?
All sorts of stuff, because it was like they had a lot of local restaurants that provided basically small bites, and the theme of the food was like Pacific Rim. So you get, I had a Filipino item last night. I have never had Filipino food before. It was good. It was like a kind of a vegetable mushroom stew, and it was really good.
This is my dream. It's all about the food. Let's be honest. The food.
And then what they did was they used the pit facility that they built for the F1 race, and of course, the race itself and everything around it. If you've read about it, you know it was a little bit of a disaster in some ways, but the facility was fantastic. They had although they had this band on level 2 that was doing these big band swing type renditions of things like Gangster's Paradise and Smells Like Teen Spirit. They were going through a 90s catalog almost. And I'm like, I don't know about this. But no, it's been pretty good. It's been pretty good, and I think we'll really see over the weekend when Vegas really goes to another level. The only thing is, where are you going to eat on Saturday night? Because it might be the Saturday night to end all Saturday nights in Vegas.
Make your reservations early. Today, once you get off a coffee break, go make your reservations for Saturday night because you're going to definitely need to do that. Mace, one of the best parts about the Super Bowl is all the celebrities that go out there. Not just the football players, but everybody else. Who's the coolest person you've seen so far?
Coolest person. I won't really say cool, but I was shoulder to shoulder with the Blue Man Group at Media Night on Monday.
I would say that's cool.
Yeah. By the way, I thought that it was just body paint. No, if you look closely, it's just a really, really tight bodysuit.
Wait, I thought it was body paint too.
Yeah, but I was looking at how I could see in how when they turned their heads, it kind of stretched a little bit. And that's not skin stretching. That's material. Right? How
uncomfortable though for it to be that tight on your skin that nobody can really notice.
Yeah, all these years I thought it was body paint, and
looks like Andrew Mason disappeared for a quick second. So, now he's back. We got you.
Hi. I don't know what happened.
Listen, I get it. Even though they have Wi-Fi down there, there's still a lot of people using that Wi-Fi, so I totally understand that. Have you seen any Kevin Costner's or Justin Timberlake's? I don't know. Who else goes down to the Super Bowl?
They'll all get here for the game itself. I imagine that in the
stadium,
like in the stadium on Sunday, you'll see a lot of that. And, we're not like the NFL has the media over at the Luxor. So I'm not sure how many sightings we're going to get where we are, unless you're talking about like media celebrities, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll see. I'll be on the lookout though. Might bump. Who knows? Might bump into a celebrity Friday or Saturday night when I'm out and about.
Listen, you do the crazy jerseys. I need you to be that person that like sneaks a pic of the celebs that you see, and I need you to post those. Just even if you just do it to me, or you can just send it to me if you don't want to post them on social media. I need you to do that for me.
Oh, of course, yeah. If I see anything, I just hope you're not disappointed if I just see a bunch of Joe Schmoes and
I'll take whatever you can give me. Hey, you already saw like Tony Romo, right? Because he's down there with CBS. I'm very curious what you were able to talk to him about yesterday for the media. Is it media night at that point?
Okay, well, they had the media night event last night, but what is a part of Super Bowl week every year is the network broadcasting the game does a media event where all of their on-air talent is available to answer questions. And it's really this is what I call kind of fish in a barrel in terms of helping produce content, because you already see some of the stuff at denversports.com, like Boomer Esiason suggesting the Broncos go get Baker Mayfield, or failing that, Jake Browning.
Wait, I did. Listen, I'm on board for Baker. I don't think it can happen because of how much they would have to pay him. I'm on board for that. But Jake Browning, I'm a little... not so much.
Remember, Boomer Esiason was a long-time Cincinnati Bengal, and Jake Browning stepped in for Joe Burrow with the Bengals and did very well. So I think that when he said that, I thought to myself, okay, there's a little bit of bias going on here with that sort of statement. But we talk with Tony Romo for a bit, and I'm gonna have something on that at denversports.com. And I asked him, hey, what are the essential things that a Sean Payton quarterback must do to kind of succeed and work with Sean Payton? Because Tony Romo was basically trained by Sean Payton when Payton was the Bears' offensive coordinator. The interesting thing that Romo said, it was like one of the first things he mentioned, was that Sean Payton will tailor his offense to the skills of the quarterback. And, if that right there, and look, you can look at what the Broncos were doing, and they were, what Sean was doing was he was leaning into Russell Wilson's skill set and strength as much as possible, and trying to maximize that. And when it wasn't going well, and they were turning the ball over more than they'd like, they definitely throttled it back a bit. But again, playing to the skill set. And look, you step back and look at the production over the course of the season. In the end, it didn't look terribly dissimilar to his last years in Seattle. But as we know, in a Sean Payton offense, it's about rhythm and timing. It's about hitting your marks. It's about being consistent. And Russell Wilson, while he does things very well off structure, it's not in the rhythm that works for a Sean Payton quarterback. That was something that Matt Ryan, former Falcon and Colt quarterback, also working for CBS, that was something he alluded to yesterday, and you can read that at denversports.com.
Plenty of good stuff from you, Mace, as always. I love it down there. Anybody else cool that you talked to, though, that really had something that stuck out? Because I love listening to all the interview clips that you get, but I know you probably have so many more that will still get posted.
Well, I actually had a chance to chat with Bill Fagerbakke, who is the voice of Patrick Starr.
Yes.
And I had
incredible.
to. Okay. And I had to because, I mean, if we're looking at like the Russell Wilson era, assuming it comes to an end here in the next few weeks, like 5 defining moments of the Russell Wilson era, one of the 5 is going to be getting clowned by a cartoon starfish on live television on Christmas Day, right? and so I had to ask him.
Broadcast. That's what Mace is talking about.
Yes, and so I had to ask him, like, was that, he's a big football fan, so I'm like, okay, is that something you worked on? Or was that like, did you have like some potential lines in there? And it's like, no, it was off the cuff. I mean, it helped in that environment that you had an actor who was a noted football aficionado.
Yeah.
And thus, he doesn't have to do his homework to know about the whole let Russ cook thing for a while and then drop it in there at an opportune moment. But you got to be kind of quick on the draw. That's to get that in there. That honestly, like, I respect that. That's why I respect like people who do improv, because like I can't think that fast. And effectively, what these voice actors are going to do, and they're doing a Nickelodeon broadcast on Sunday. What these voice actors have to do is they've got to basically improv and riff in character for basically 3.5, 3 3/4 hours on Sunday. It's real, like you're actually kind of in awe. Like that takes a talent that I don't have, and I can't help but admire that.
Was he in his character voice when he was talking to you, or could you like pick up on hints of it? Was just like his normal voice? I'm curious.
There are hints, but not really. He was not talking in character. And I wasn't going to ask him to talk in character.
Yeah. No, I get you.
That's like when you're interviewing, so like unless they offer that to you, that's not cool, right?
Yeah.
You can't really. So,
interesting. Okay. Yeah. I like it. I've got another question, just because I have seen so many outrageous questions being asked this week. A lot of them obviously going to Travis Kelce because of all the Taylor Swift stuff. Like I just saw one question was like, who's going to get a ring first, the 49ers or Taylor Swift? Like, are we getting to the point that there's just too much media for a lot of these players that are preparing for a football game? Because again, I feel like every single day we're seeing, they're all at the podium sitting down and talking, or they're doing opening night. Is there too much now?
6,000 credentialed media here, Rachel. 6,000.
That's insane.
Okay. I mean, that's like a small, that's a small town, right? Maybe not even a small town, bigger than a small town. I think I don't know if it's too much as it is. You've got a lot of people who are here who do not ordinarily cover football. Like yesterday, I'll admit, like I want to ask, questions about the Broncos.
Mason, lost your audio, my friend.
Oh,
now you're back.
Oh, that was weird. So yesterday I wanted to ask, the CBS talent about Sean Payton, Russell Wilson, all that. And then you're waiting while this one person has a line of questions asking about, hey, you think Travis is going to propose to Taylor? Like, I don't freaking care about this. This is a waste of time.
What are we talking about?
Yes.
They've been dating for like 6 months.
Yes.
Everyone stop. Let the man live. Let the girl live. Let them enjoy football. My goodness.
Let them have their relationship. I mean, I think that they're the people who are complaining about that, they're showing Taylor Swift on the broadcast. I think those complaints are nonsense, stupid, ridiculous. There was that story that said there was one game they showed her all of 25 seconds. My God. Okay. I mean, they show shots of the owner's box for more than that in a lot of games, right? Get over it, people. But I will say, like, some of the questions, especially on Monday night, some of the questions are going to get pretty tiresome pretty quick. Like I try to keep my eye on the ball here, but then you've also got the other things, like there were people going around asking, okay, chicken wings, do you like your ranch or blue cheese? There was one person going around on Monday night asking players to he'd like drop an Usher lyric and then ask him to kind of complete the song, right?
Because of the halftime show. Okay.
Exactly. But like,
also, Mace, are you going to the game?
Yeah, I'm going.
Okay. Just in case a lot of people don't know, some media members do not. Like last year when I went out to the Super Bowl, I did not actually go to the game, even though I went to Radio Row. So that's why I was curious. So you're going to see Usher perform at halftime. I'm very jealous.
Yeah, it actually ended up being pretty reasonable to stay, and gonna take it all in. And also, I mean, they'll honor Randy Gradishar during the game, because knock on whatever surface you can find, he should be finalized as a Hall of Famer tomorrow night. They're going to announce that. And then also just, I mean, from a Denver perspective, I mean, look, either the team with all the scions of Broncos legends is going to win because you've got Kubiak's on the staff. You have Brian. You have Kyle Shanahan coaching, Christian McCaffrey running, and then even another connection with Brian Griese, former Broncos quarterback, who's now the QB coach for the 49ers. So it's either this team that effectively is like the descendants of the Mike Shanahan Broncos, the proper heirs of that, or it's going to be the Broncos' hated rival in Kansas City. So there's a storyline no matter who wins the game. Although I do get Broncos fans somewhat tortured feelings watching the 49ers and seeing so many people with connections to Denver and the Broncos.
What could have been.
Yeah, it really is. Although it probably wouldn't have worked out the same way if it had happened in Denver.
Agreed.
But still, they're going to be some pangs of sadness, no doubt.
Oh, 100%, 110%. I feel like either way, I'm like, all right, whoever's gonna win. Of course, I'm going. So I'm torn in my house because my fiance is from Kansas. So it's like they all root for the Chiefs and they all want me to, but I'm like, I also grew up a Broncos fan, so I'm very, very torn. But at the exact same time, with all of like the Kyle Shanahan, Christian McCaffrey, all of those things, I'm like, oh man. Also, I am a huge fan of Christian McCaffrey and his entire family, so I think that I am kind of rooting for them to go that way. But yeah, it's a little awkward in my house this week because I'm like, which way am I going to pull with it?
Maybe the Broncos can get a McCaffrey in their midst because Luke McCaffrey, who converted from quarterback to wide receiver, had a pretty good week down at the Senior Bowl, and I caught up with him down there. We're going to have some stuff on him at denversports.com probably next week or so. But for someone who basically is learning on the fly how to play wide receiver, he's come a long way, and I wouldn't mind the Broncos taking Luke McCaffrey. Although Christian McCaffrey, I think, is going to lobby very hard for the 49ers to bring his younger brother into San Francisco here this spring. So keep your eye on that.
Okay, so let's move to the draft because the Raiders just hired former OC for the Bears, Luke Getsy, and now this kind of opens up some thoughts for me. And again, I'm just kind of playing everything because everything can be a possibility.
Yeah.
Could this mean that the Bears are looking to stick with Justin Fields? They have a new OC who's going to come in and work with him, and they trade away the first-round pick. Well, I'm like, it'd be really tough for the Broncos to get the first-round pick, but what if there's like some sort of 3-team trade here where it's like the Patriots really want to move up over the Commanders, and so then they're trying to do that, and the Broncos can somehow get involved, and I'm just trying to come up with any sort of situation that the Broncos can get 1 through 3 somehow.
Hope. That's what I'm hearing a longing and a hope in your voice.
When
you talk about that.
I'm just like, okay, the Bears must be thinking, hey, we're going to move, or they're either going to completely move on from Justin Fields. I don't know. It seems like all the odds are that he's going to end up staying down there in Chicago. So they're like, okay, let's see if we can get it to work with Justin Fields somehow. We'll bring in somebody new to be the OC. But Mace, I don't know. I don't know what the answers, and there's so many things that are floating around that I just feel like I'm all over the place.
Yeah, I wouldn't at all be surprised if they keep Justin Fields and take a quarterback.
At number 1?
Yes.
You don't think they're going to trade it?
I don't think they're going to trade it. I think they could keep Fields and pick QB. It would not all surprise me. Now, that being said, we're not at decision point yet, and we're not close to it. I mean, to my knowledge, unless they did it, unless Caleb Williams snuck in down at the Senior Bowl last week, I don't believe the Bears have even met with Caleb Williams and had that interview process, put him at the whiteboard, etc. That's why it's probably too premature to even say, oh, the Broncos, they're going to trade up or they're going to trade back or whatever. Yeah. They're still gathering information. Now, we know, for example, that they talked with Michael Pratt of Tulane at the Senior Bowl.
Yep.
They certainly use those days to start getting their intel on the quarterbacks, but that's going to go to another level when you go to the combine, and they're certainly going to interview some quarterbacks there as well. So that's why, the buzz, the Broncos might trade up. I think it's too early to say. I still think it's unlikely for a couple of reasons. Number one, if you need a QB and you're one of those top 3 teams, why would you move down, right?
Amen.
Unless you found that you didn't like at least one of the three to the point where you're willing to take them. And that, again, we're not yet at that point because teams have not really sat down with those quarterbacks yet.
Yeah.
But we also have we're also looking for breadcrumbs, and we know one of the breadcrumbs was that Sean Payton said about Caleb Williams about 15 months ago, right? About they should have a draft lottery for to keep people from tanking for Caleb, and how much he loved his skill set, loved his talent, and so that's what I think gets everybody. That's what gets everybody thinking right now. But I don't think the Broncos are going to be able to pull it off. It would be amazing if they did, but I put this out on social media over the weekend, Rachel. What's a better team? Is it the Broncos keeping Pat Surtain and getting a young quarterback at 12 or later on in the draft and maintaining their draft capital, or the Broncos trading up for Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, or Drake May, but probably sacrificing not only PS2, but a significant chunk of draft capital? Like, I imagine you're not making that deal without giving up your first-round pick next year and maybe the year after that.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden we're in draft hell again, just like we've been the past couple of years with Sean Payton and Russell Wilson, those deals.
Right. Like, this is...
So what's your answer to that question all on your own?
My answer to that question, much as I like Drake May specifically for Sean Payton's offense, my answer to that question is stand pat.
But here's my only thing. The draft picks, I'm totally in. But everybody that's like, you can't trade PS2. Don't get me wrong. PS2 is an amazing player, but a good cornerback is a luxury for teams, right? Like, it's not here for the teams that are bad. You want a good cornerback for those teams that are that close to making it to the Super Bowl. Like, it's a luxury compared to when you need the quarterback.
That is very true. But ultimately, with any young QB, you want to have an environment that will allow them a better chance of success. Like, for example, one reason why I do like the Broncos, even if it's at 12, going for a QB. If Sean Payton believes Bo Nix is the guy, then I think you have to trust Sean Payton, right? It wasn't a great week for Bo Nix last week with the Senior Bowl, but he is a rhythm and timing quarterback.
Yeah. And
that the practices were structured in a way that did not allow him to get that with his pass catching targets, because they didn't even do 7-on-7 periods like Nathaniel Hackett practices all over again. Cecil and I and Parker Gabriel, the Denver Post, were sitting in the stands watching practice and like, what are these guys doing? Okay, so there's that. You do have, if you want to play the long game and bring in a quarterback who might need a year to develop, there is the J.J. McCarthy route. He's got some skills to him. And upside-wise, we may be talking about him being on the same level as those top 3 QBs in terms of upside. But there's a high variance there. And that first year, I think you're going to have to give J.J. McCarthy the Jordan Love treatment, and that's okay. But that means you better have a better bridge than you have right now. Jarrett Stidham, I don't think you want Jarrett Stidham as your quarterback for a year. You're going to have to find a sturdier bridge than that.
Who, Mace? What are we talking? They can't afford to pay a Baker Mayfield or Kirk Cousins. Like, Jameis Winston's name's been thrown around. What bridge quarterback could Broncos country actually be excited about? Or are you not excited about a single one and you're just thinking of the future of, okay, J.J. McCarthy, if he was in college for another year, he could be going in those top 3, and that's how we have to look at it as Broncos country.
That's, I think, how you have to look at it. And
that kills me inside.
Yeah, I know. I get it. It's been a long 7 years, 7 straight losing seasons.
Yeah.
I completely understand the frustration that you have, that everyone watching this show has with how these defeats have accumulated. But there is going to probably be some patience required with whatever QB that you might take at 12, or if you move down in the first round and take one later and try to have your cake and eat it too, get your QB and get a little extra draft capital. Yeah. It's funny, I say, okay, you need a sturdier bridge. Jimmy Garoppolo, skill set wise, he's not going to excite anybody, but he can.
Actually, going to make a lot of people mad, Mace.
I am. I know. It's going to right. He would make sense, but here's the problem. I say sturdy bridge. What is the biggest problem with Jimmy G over the last few years? He's getting hurt all the time.
Yeah.
And I fear, like, if you brought in Garoppolo, you'd be turning around in 3 or 4 weeks into the season. Oh, we better go with Jarrett Stidham right now. That's why I think you have to look at other options. There's Jacoby Brissett is one. Again, he's not going to excite anybody, but he can keep things on schedule. Jameis Winston obviously would come to Denver with 2 years of work with Sean Payton.
Can I be honest, Mace?
Yeah.
We're saying these names, and I'm like, this is freaking ridiculous because you have Russell Wilson, and yes, he was not what Sean Payton and everybody wanted him to be. He was not what I wanted him to be. But we're talking about bringing in Jacoby Brissett, even though they have Russell Wilson and they have to pay him just because of how bad the situation ended up happening in the season. Like that, it does not make sense in my head.
It doesn't. Like, when you step back and say, okay, this is a quarterback who is, look, he's probably going to the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah.
Russell Wilson, he's probably going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. He was one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL for a decade, right? And yet you're talking about, yes, on the surface, it is absurd. It really is. But it's also about fit with Sean Payton and what Sean Payton wants from a quarterback. And I think also what Sean Payton can kind of handle. This was, okay, I'll have more on this at denversports.com as I keep going through the stuff from yesterday. Jay Feely had a really, and being a broadcaster, he's meeting with the coach every time he does a Bronco game. And Feely was dropping some nuggets when he did the Broncos-Chargers game, and that's another reason why I want to talk to him. And he characterized Sean Payton as the kind of coach who, like, if you might, let's say Russ rolls out, moves around, extends the play, and hits Cortland Sutton. Big play, everyone's happy, but it's not how Sean Payton designed it, so he's a little bit frustrated. And the thing with a lot of these really bright offensive minds, these play designers, is that mentally it's like when they're putting stuff down, it's like Mozart or Beethoven working on a symphony, right? They can hear the notes, they can hear the music in their head. There's the old story about how Beethoven, who was deaf, when he would conduct his symphony, the musicians who were playing couldn't keep up with how he was conducting. Beethoven heard it in his own mind's ear as he'd written it down, but actual humans couldn't do it in the way that he heard it, right? And it was a highly frustrating experience for him. Just as it's kind of a frustrating experience for a coach who's got a really bright offensive mind. They've got this design, and then you see it out there. You have actual humans that are running it, and it doesn't quite work out. Look, I think this is a reason why, if you go way back, Broncos fans remember Mike Shanahan, of course. Mike Shanahan ultimately got frustrated with Jake Plummer, even though the team was winning. Yeah. Because Jake couldn't really kind of hit the marks precisely in the way that Mike wanted him to. Brian Griese could do that. That was a reason why Brian got the starting job in 1999 coming off the Super Bowl over Bubby Brister. Yeah. But Bubby was an off-script guy. But the thing is, in retrospect, at that moment, that was the wrong move for the team, because even though Brian could execute the play as designed, Brian struggled when things went awry, when somebody missed a block or the route wasn't run right. And that's an inevitability when you have human beings doing these things. And so this is like, it was interesting to kind of talk with Jay Feely about that, because it sort of hit the nail on the head of something I had been thinking psychologically regarding Sean Payton and what he wants to see from the offense. And it's very similar to what I saw back when Mike Shanahan was coaching the team, that wanted a certain way, and it was frustrating. Even though the team was winning and everything was good on the surface, there was a level of frustration building because it wasn't being run as designed. And I think that's part of what you had with Russell Wilson here. And then, of course, Russ being a high-variance quarterback, he'll go beyond structure. He'll make play. He'll keep a play alive. He'll make a play. But then he'll miss that little 5-yard out to the running back, right? I mean, we saw that a bunch of times this year. Running back gets open in the flat, and Russ kind of, overshoots him by a couple of steps. What Payton wants is the quarterback who's going to hit that every time. Every time. That's what. And also, Sean Payton was spoiled by Drew Brees. No, there's no question about that.
We can all agree on that one. Well, Mace, I will look forward to all of your stuff with Jay Feely on denversports.com. Always a pleasure. Enjoy Super Bowl week, my friend. We will catch up later.
I will. Good to see you, Rachel.
All right, Andrew Mason down there live at Radio Row. Always such a blast to have him on. So many good things. I got a little frustrated today on today's show, you guys, because there's just so many things that are up in the air, and we have so many more weeks to go until the draft and what's going to happen. But I always love hanging out with you, talking with all of you guys, seeing all of your comments. So thank you so much for bringing them on. And we'll be back tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. for Denver Sports Daily. Come hang out with us for all of your headlines, and then tomorrow for another episode of Coffee Break. Have a wonderful Wednesday, everybody. Bye.